It's too much. It's too much for anyone to be exposed, to try and stay up to date on all the happenings.
I wonder if all of this makes us afraid to like live life or like dream in certain ways, or like are younger generations like still having big dreams?
The ability to actually come together as real life humans and have normal conversation, because you see the actual human behind the belief and the experience rather than a comment on social media.
Welcome back to another episode of Sessions for the Soul.
Yes, welcome back. I always feel so silly looking at the camera maybe for the first couple of seconds.
I know, it's like, and make direct eye contact.
Yes.
And then we like can come to this space where it's like,
yes,
that doesn't exist.
yes.
Hilarious. I totally get it. It's like, yeah. Sometimes when I'm editing, it's so funny because we like start here and then it's like, okay,
and now we're not going to look back.
Yeah. And then
unless there's something crazy going on outside.
Yeah. And occasionally there is
Yes.
here in Washington.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm feeling so much better than last week. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there was a lot going on last week.
There was a lot going on. I feel like Wednesday when we recorded, it was just like the peak of everything happening. And so, yeah, this last week has felt, or this current week has felt just so much more like manageable and smooth. So I love that.
I love that too. Yeah. I know. I was kind of thinking about it on my drive here. Actually, I was like, this is because I have so many things I want to do this summer, and I feel generally overwhelmed most days right now just because there's so much happening. And you know how last year there was the trend of like the summer I like regulated my nervous system or whatever, like from the summer I turned pretty.
Yeah.
And I was like, the summer I did absolutely fucking nothing because I was like in survival mode.
Yeah.
That's what I was titling this summer, you guys. So hilarious.
You know what? If it fits.
Yeah. So that was funny. I was like, I made myself laugh. And if that's all I can do, then that's fine.
Yeah. I still need to create like a little summer bucket list, but like little things, because I have so many big things going on.
Yeah.
But it's like, and those are exciting and I'm looking forward to all of those things, but little things that I want to do apart from like a big organized gathering or event or whatever.
I think you're really onto something there, because it's like, okay, how can I like do that feels sustainable, don't feel like more work?
Yes.
Yeah. Like
an obligation, a commitment, something on my calendar.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good idea. I kind of like started a very, very loose draft of one, but based on things, I'm going to need to just revisit it and simplify.
Revisions.
Yeah. I'm like, you know what? The fall will slow down. Haha.
Right.
I'm like, I keep saying that every season. I'm like, it'll feel easier. It'll feel easier when after this.
Yes.
And maybe it will, maybe it won't. I just, it comes in waves.
Yes.
So yeah. Well, that's good. I'm excited. Today's episode, you guys, we're going to dive in a little bit to like,
sorry.
I don't know. I actually don't know what I'm saying. If you want to speak, please do.
No, it's coming out July 3rd, which is just a few days away from when we're recording this. So this is very timely for us. So the topic that we're going to be talking about is just like dealing with the weight of the world, all things considered. And I think we want to start out just by maybe saying like this might feel politically motivated, and it's not. There's like so much going on in the world, obviously politics included, but so much going on in the world that can just feel so heavy when we're like constantly exposed to all these things. And so we just wanted to kind of hold some space for that, and also talk about how we can kind of balance being aware of all the different things, not all the different things, but having awareness, and also being able to kind of protect our peace. So
yes. I love that you like put that little PSA in here for sure. Because I feel like we work really hard to like not really be another space on the internet where it's like constant, it's we're in unprecedented times, but like I believe that all times are unprecedented, because like the people experiencing them are the ones experiencing them. Like, it's really hard to know what precedented times are, I feel. there are periods where we can look back, or like maybe where things felt really nice, but that doesn't mean that they were as easy as they felt.
Right. Yeah.
And we, you know, have like tried to stay out of that. Not only I think for just being a space where it's like, we're not really exploring that here. That's not what this is.
Right. Yeah.
But also like protecting ourselves from like we already have to deal with like some crazy shit on the internet sometimes when we post stuff. So it's like, why would we open up that can of worms? But I love what you said about how like this is more of an exploration for ourselves, our listeners, of just like how to take care of yourself in like the age of information.
Yes.
When there's so much noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Cool.
Well, just before we dive in, just acknowledging, like, because this is coming out literally on the 3rd of July, tomorrow's going to be the 4th of July, and there's going to be so many different ways that people are engaging with the 4th of July. And I think that's the case a lot of times, but I think for many people, it maybe feels heavier this year or in this season of life. And so we just want to kind of acknowledge that a little bit, that some people are going to be celebrating and having a great time for all sorts of different reasons, bringing their family together, having a great time. Some people might feel super conflicted about the 4th of July. Some people are feeling discouraged or are grieving. And a lot of people are feeling like a mix of all of those things, and just like wanting to acknowledge that, and also recognize like there's no one right way to feel about it. And maybe you have people in your life who are like all throughout that spectrum, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's totally okay. So we want to just acknowledge that.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Like, you know, I think a lot of people too might feel guilt in some way, depending on like their circumstances or depending on their feelings, like guilty, like still participating in certain things. And like, just want to normalize and remind everybody that like also for a lot of people, 4th of July is about family, is about coming together with family and community and things like that. And really isn't necessarily directly related to like the love of country, if you will. And so, yeah, just like throwing that out there as well. If you have people who are celebrating, if you're celebrating, or maybe if you disagree with people celebrating, you know, just recognizing it's so different for everybody. It's so nuanced. And, you know, let's just like pull compassion and empathy in and recognize that like that's okay, you know?
No.
Yeah, my mom is like a pyromania. It's ridiculous. Like she loves to set stuff on fire and watch it explode, and like always has. There's like 3 things that really get my mother like into a place, and I'm like, who is that? Because whoa. And the 4th of July is one of them. She actually, her dream is when she dies to be
put into a
firework.
Oh my gosh.
She wants us to put her into a firework and a Christmas light. Like she's like, I need you guys to put me into a Christmas light and a firework, and that's all I need. And we're like, Mom, okay, this is like, can you imagine just like, you know, 50 years from now or something, when I am, and I'm saying 50 because I'm willing that my mother lives forever. But saying like to my sisters, like, come on, we're going to the beach right now to, you know, set Mom on off, and they're going to be like, Allie's going to be unenthused.
Yeah.
And she's going to be like, here we go. We're going to go send Jeej into the sky. Like, and Amanda will probably be like, oh, you know what I mean? So and I'm going to be the only one actually organizing anything. So
it'll be an experience. Yes. Wow. Oh my goodness.
But my point is like my mother's so excited about like the fireworks and going to see that and like all of those things. And so, you know, you just never know someone's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's such a good point.
Yes.
Well, I guess to kind of frame the next like 45 to 50 minutes or so, I think the question that we're really wanting to kind of introduce and explore is how to stay informed without sacrificing your mental and emotional well-being. Like that's kind of the core of what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, so in the modern world, we have access to so much information, like honestly, even more information than the generation before us. Mm-hmm. And it's so curious because I feel like it's probably because being a like younger millennial, I do think that like younger generations have access to more information than we do, just because maybe we don't fully understand like the full capacity of the internet and the
It's possible.
no, seriously, my
Yeah.
niece just got a phone.
Mm.
I in the 20 minutes she had that thing and like had to come over and tell us about it, she was so excited.
Yes.
She was showing me all these things and I was like, how did you know that my phone does that? She's like, your phone does that.
Oh
I
my
was,
gosh. Yeah.
girl, this is a whole new thing. I
I
mean,
don't
I'm
even
not
want to
using it.
know.
I
Yeah.
know. And you, that's what I mean
Yeah.
though, is like,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, wow, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of information, we have access to a lot of information, and, you know, there's like a constant exposure to global conflict, political tension, natural disasters, violence, economic uncertainty, social media, um, outrage and drama. I mean, you name it. Like, there's so much stuff going on the internet, and our brains really, regardless of being able to hold and intellectually hold something, we're actually not designed to process all of this in real time
Mm-mm.
and every tragedy in real time.
It's too much. It's too much for anyone to be exposed to try and stay up to date on all the happenings, all the like biggest headlines, the latest news, whether that be political, whether it be just other things happening in the world. I was even just yesterday was looking at, I saw a headline on the earthquake that happened in Venezuela,
Oh yeah.
and the like unimaginable amount of people who are still
Mm,
missing and who have lost their lives, and thinking about how heavy that is. And then the next scroll is like someone's recent trip to Spain or something. And it's like, you know, and it's just such a weird, it's like whiplash
no,
for mine, where
totally.
it's like this really heavy, really big, life changing news. And then something that's like totally irrelevant and light and happy and funny and we're
Totally.
stupid, or like it's a weird world that we're living in when we look at how we're interacting with news and social
And
media.
like and information. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you're saying that, I'm just thinking about how like, God, what a paradox that we live in a world
Yeah.
where like 1 minute you're like consuming and like understanding and feeling like the weight and the grief of something so horrible. And then the next minute it's like,
Yeah.
check out my like Europe trip, or
Yeah.
have you tried the new whatever coffee at this
Yeah.
place? And it's like so bizarre,
Yeah.
right? To hold both of those things. And it is a paradox because it's like, it's everything. Like it's literally holding all of it. And so it can be almost like you said, whiplash. It's confusing.
It is. And almost, I'm thinking about times like, particularly maybe toward like the end of last year, there was a lot, and maybe that's just because I was seeing it more at that time, but a lot of like just horrifying violence that was happening, like publicly, things that were recorded. And then you see those recordings on social media, and it's like, we're like dehumanizing the experience of like horrifying events that happen, and they do happen, but for us to be exposed to them on this level, and then to just tap to the next story and see something else, or a scroll and you see a new post, and so it's like this weird it's just like it's just a really weird place to be, I think.
Well, totally. And as you're, you know, I think this is actually such an important part of this conversation because we, you know, we used to get information in such different ways. And now the medium we're mostly all consuming information from is like cell phones, right? Some people it's still television, but I think there's almost something like you said, the like the dehumanizing element of it, or almost like the getting like we get desensitized
Yes.
to
Yeah.
to these tragedies.
Yeah.
It's like, and I will, hold on, I think I need to like police how we say this so we don't get like shadow banned. It's like when we first started to hear about uh GV like in schools, like, you know, school like pew pew.
Oh yes, yes.
So like
Okay.
at first that
Yeah.
was really like horrible.
Yeah,
Like
I see. Yeah.
when we would think back to those times, I hope our listeners are tracking.
Yeah.
I think you are. You know, when we think about like the early 2000s and hearing about like even when the world became aware of what happened at Columbine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, terrible tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
It affected all of us heavily. And
Yeah.
like that still, like I have chills literally
It's
saying
like a
that.
vicarious trauma experience. Like
Experience
we weren't there,
there.
but the experience of like watching that unfold.
Yes,
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
And now when you see a headline that's like, and today at this elementary school or this high school or this whatever, we're like, oh, there was another one.
Yeah.
So we're like desensitized to this. And I think that like that's actually part of the problem, because desensitization equals like less, it's like less of a big deal, it's less of an issue, it's less of a, and that and I'm using that as an example just because it's what came to mind. Maybe that was a bad example, oops, but it's on every level, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that like desensitization to some of this information and like the lack of empathy and compassion that follow that is a little scary. And then there was one other thought I was having while you were speaking, and that is, I wonder if all of this makes us afraid to like live life or like dream in certain ways, or like our younger generations like still having big dreams and like, you know, I think dreaming is, and like having like curiosity and wonder and like imagining your life is like such a beautiful thing that we can like conceptualize these things. And I don't know, do you think younger generations are experiencing that in the same way we did when they have so much information, and like maybe their view of the world is like they're more afraid, or they're more they view the world as a bad place or like a scary place where like nothing, you know, there's more bad than there is good.
No, I think that research even supports that. And I don't have like
numbers. That's okay
right now, but I think that is actually supported where younger generations, and I do think that a big part of it is like the exposure, like the mass amount of exposure to all things happening in the world, creating like a sense of apathy and doom and pessimism and like what's the point, and this is such a bad place to be. So I think that's a huge like consequence to being exposed constantly to all these different things. And I think this is a good point to start talking about like what's your why. If you are exposed to or seeking out all sorts of information, whatever kind of information you're seeking out, examine why. What's your reasoning behind it? Are you doing it to take meaningful action? Are you doing it to better understand others, better understand the world that you're living in, gain new perspectives, make informed decisions? Or is it mostly just increasing your anxiety, leaving you feeling helpless, and also pulling you away from your own life, where you're so incredibly consumed by the information and getting so like amped up about the information that you're consuming, where you're not able to then pour into the relationships that you have, the life that you're living, the community that you're living in, because you're so like you're drowning in the information that you keep exposing yourself to.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's such a, I love the way that you said that, because I'm just even thinking about like the times that I get sucked into doom scrolling. It might not be a conscious like fatigue, right? It can just be like, ugh, I'm exhausted after I just got on there.
And you might not associate the two.
Yeah. And it's like, but why? And it's like, oh, well, I just like, you know, learned about all of this stuff, or I just took in all of this like really heavy stuff. And now I'm like burnt out, and I'm, you know, there is like an unconscious, you know, our bodies and our brains are still absorbing that, whether or not we like might think we have healthy boundaries around it, or we think we are like, well, like, oh, I can handle this. And examining like what's the outcome after when I am doing this, like what's my experience because of this? And I think that that's part of it. Because if it's not leading to something positive, or if it's leading specifically to something negative, right, or that doesn't feel good, it probably is an invitation to just examine like how you're engaging with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think some questions to get curious about is, why do we feel like we need to know everything, right? So if maybe one of your reasons is like, well, I want to know what's going on. Why is that? Is like, get curious about like what's underneath all of those layers of like wanting to know, because again, what are you actually doing with that information? Are you doing anything like productive with it?
Right.
Is it adding any actual value to your life? So I think that's a good one to get curious
That
about.
is a great one. Like when you said that, I'm like, ooh, yeah. Because too, you know, with it, like there's a couple things coming to mind, but one of them is kind of like the desire, like, you know, the human like desire to want to know everything and want to, you know, we want to
Yeah.
know. And I invite everyone to get curious about like uh what knowing does. And some stuff I will argue is like not our business to know, one. And then two,
Mm-hmm.
is this coming from a place of the illusion of control? Like, do I feel in
Yeah.
control when I know? You know, do
Yeah.
I feel more because, and I say illusion because control really is an illusion. That's a
Mm.
discussion for another time. But, you know, yeah. And asking yourself, what happens when we don't know? Like, what happens when I don't know this stuff? You know, what actually happens? There's a quote about there, it's like a very Western, like, quote about like somewhere some person is sitting by a waterfall or like sitting on a mountainside and they have no cell phone and they're completely ignorant to the world. And the like quote ends with basically being like, and by the way, I'm butchering this quote, you guys look it up. I'm not doing great. But it essentially says like, I envy that fool because
Mm.
being the fool who doesn't know anything, like and I felt this when I was in Peru.
Mm-hmm.
These people are so happy and like
Yeah.
so in touch and like community, and they have so much joy in their lives, and like they
Yeah.
are so connected to the earth and each other and just humanity, and empathy is like the baseline of everything.
Yeah.
And they don't know anything about like,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there are people in Peru that do, but specifically these people who like don't have cell phones, don't have the internet, like
Yeah.
are getting on the internet once a year to like, you know, pay taxes or something.
Yeah.
These people are doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think there's like something to learn from that, right?
No, there definitely is. And I think when we are so consumed by what's happening all over the world or all over the country or whatever your focus is, like you're moving further and further away from what's happening in your community
Yeah.
and in your own home, even sometimes. And that's what I'm picturing just in your example of Peru, of like there's such a focus on what is happening in our own community and looking at how can you add value into your own community and pour into that.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than being so consumed by everything else that you really, unfortunately, just don't have much control over,
Right.
or really any control over.
Right.
And that's a really hard thing to accept. But
totally. And arguably, like, right, I think some of that stuff pulls you out of your community in a way and also makes you start to have negative feelings or dislike for people in your community because they
right.
might see something different than you or have a different
Right.
belief or view.
Yeah.
And then that's like part of that division element because
Mm-hmm.
you know what is powerful is community and is like, is people being connected and being together and being able to take care of each other. That's really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is actually how we get through hard things. That is
Mm-hmm.
how we historically have survived as a species.
Yeah.
And so when that is gone,
Yeah.
yikes, you
Yeah.
know, and that's where I think the call to like unplug from some of that noise
Yeah.
and plug into like real life is really important.
Yeah. Like what if that's the real revolt, is like unplugging from all that noise and plugging into your community, your family, your home, and pouring everything into that in a unified way.
Yeah, yeah. Like coming together.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I love that. Woo!
Yeah. So when you're consuming content, just some things that you can kind of ask yourself is this something I can actually impact? Is there meaningful action I can take related to this information, such as volunteering, donating, helping a neighbor, helping my community? Or am I carrying emotional weight that isn't actually mine to carry? So again, what am I actually doing with this information? Am I just consuming it because it's creating anxiety and pulling me away from my life and like consuming me in this really unhelpful way? Or am I able to consume that information and then utilize it in a way to like make a change or make an impact, even if it's not going to solve the whole issue or whatever the problem is that you're trying to solve? But if it can make a little dent in making you feel like you're contributing in some way, I think that that can add a lot of value.
Yeah, absolutely. And remembering that like being compassionate doesn't require carrying every burden. Yes, because I think sometimes we can pick stuff up and carry it and be like,
Yeah.
what are we going to do? We have to solve this. Or,
Yeah.
um, and some issues are not, I'm like struggling here how to phrase this. I think it's like there's a difference between having compassion, caring about people, and caring and like genuinely being like, oh man, like, yeah, versus feeling like it is solely like one person's responsibility to try to solve.
Right.
Like, we can't do these things alone. And,
Yeah.
recognizing that like you can have compassion and still care, but not be burdened, overwhelmed, like feel like you have to shut down because of
Yeah.
caring, if that makes sense.
Totally. And I'm also thinking about how I feel like really over the last 5 to 7 years, maybe there's been a shift, even just like in the social media space, of people saying like, if you're not taking a stand on this thing or talking about this thing or changing your profile picture or your bio to say this thing, like then you are not like a compassionate or caring person, or you're not using your platform in a way that it should be used. And I think that's just speaking to this point of like, you actually can be such a compassionate and caring and loving and empathetic person and not have to like, you know, shout that thing from the rooftops, you know, like
Yes,
those things don't have to go hand in hand.
absolutely. And, you know, it, I think that like in the context of social media, right? A lot of online spaces amplify conflict and amplify these problems that we have. And so it's curious because sometimes the shouting from the rooftops is actually like feeding the conflict, not feeding the resolution, I think.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's our job to police like what is social media, what is real life, and where are we getting our information from? I think that, you know, because online spaces do amplify the extreme sides of things or beliefs or positions, that's where like some of that divisive energy can come from. And real life conversations are so much more nuanced.
Yeah.
You know, when we sit down and we're able to like have real conversations with real people in our lives, in our communities,
Yeah.
and we're able to like, and not from a place of like, where we're committed to misunderstanding somebody, but where we're committed to have to literally just a curiosity, I think is what it is. Like if we're committed to like, you know what, I'm really curious, I want to understand.
Yeah.
I think a couple things happen. One, we find out we have a lot more in common with each other than we do with whatever influencer or person or news station or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Whoever is, you know, spewing whatever information. Because the thing is like, it's one thing to get information that's like facts. Here's what happened. Here's how it happened. Here's when it happened. It's another thing when it's like, here's what happened because of this group of people and that group of people. And why did it happen? Because this group of people is terrible. And that group of people, you know, is terrible too, or they're better. And if you would just listen, then this wouldn't happen because if this were in control. And so it's just like, I think that like, I mean, I haven't watched the news in a really long time, but I imagine it's still a little bit like that. Okay. And so I think that, you know, recognizing that like life is so much more nuanced and most people actually do really care about their families, want safe communities, want opportunities for others, desire peace, even if they disagree on how it's achieved.
Right.
And I also think part of that, another like point of that is that like everyone, and we kind of talked about this before we started, I think everyone is doing their best and most people think that they're making the right decision. So this is historically true. Even people who are in really bad situations and really on the wrong side of things, right? Like they thought that they were right.
Right.
They believed that they were doing what was best for whatever reason. We can try to put ourselves in those shoes to understand why somebody made that choice. it's like actually impossible. Brene Brown talks about how you truly can't walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. And I really believe that. It's really hard to like put yourself in someone's perspective. But one thing that I think like that is part of this is like the compassion piece of like, we might not agree with someone. We might not understand someone's point of view, perspective, why they're doing something. But if we can try and just like have compassion for whatever decision they're making in the way of like, you know what, I disagree maybe, or my perspective or view is different, but I do understand how you got there. I do understand that, you know, things have been really, really hard. And I think a lot of people are grasping at like something being better and easier. And sometimes people feel out of options, and that's when they make really crazy choices or, you know, can totally 180 on something because it's like, oh, we've tried everything and we're like all still struggling. And that's where like, I think I have a lot of compassion. I don't know, just like people in my life and like what I've seen. It's just so much easier to not be like angry and full of hate toward people's perspectives. It's like, it feels a lot better to just be like, ooh, man, that's tough. And I don't totally get it. But like, I have compassion for you, this person, this real person in my life and in my community and my family, because I've seen what you've done. I've seen your struggle. I've seen what you've gone through in life, and I can respect that, you know?
Yeah. No, I think that's everything that you just said is so important. And I think the online space, whether it be the news, if you're watching news on TV or our social media, there's so much division and also like overgeneralizations. And as humans, I think we like to really categorize people. And that's where things like stereotyping and harmful things like that come into play, because it's easy for us to categorize people. And so you can easily start to see things and adopt beliefs of like, this whole group of people is bad because they believe XYZ or they think XYZ things should happen. And when we start to adopt those beliefs that we're seeing online, it starts to create so much division in our real lives when we could just sit down with real life people who most times are willing to like see the nuance and to see each other as human beings and to be like, you know, I actually disagree with you so hard on this topic, but we agree on these other things. And also I love you as a person and you're fun to hang out with, or like whatever the thing is, right? And like we can talk about this topic from time to time if we want like a really heated, passionate discussion, or maybe this is a topic we avoid because we just can't come to agreement on it, and that's fine. So like having the ability to actually come together as real life humans and have normal conversation because you see the actual human behind the belief and the experience rather than a comment on social media or a talking head on TV. Like we're not connected to the actual human behind those thoughts and sentiments.
Yes. So much of that. I'm actually reading a book right now. I think I might have told you about it. I don't know. It's called like The Magical Age of Overthinking, and it's about the age of information. And it talks about parasocial relationships and how like celebrity culture is like a big problem in the Western world because, and I don't even mean just like celebrity, like Hollywood celebrity. I'm talking about like influencers, political figures, athletes, news hosts, talk show hosts, like authors, you name it, people who have like that like mass reach, that exposure, right? And how we sort of idolize them in ways. We do this thing, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's actually like part of evolution. So like if we saw a big strong man a million years ago, that's a long period of time. Obviously, I'm just like throwing out a random number. We would have been like, oh, like he's strong, he looks well fed, he isn't injured, he hasn't like, so he's good at surviving. We want to be near that. And that was like a literal survival instinct. Well, we haven't lost that in the modern world. That still exists in us. So now it's really interesting. We look at certain things or certain features in people, like, oh, they're really well spoken. Oh, they like seem correct in their perspective. And then what we do is we generalize that because we have one like because there's one attribute that we agree with or like one thing in common,
Right.
we often as humans will generalize that like we agree on everything.
Right.
This person's right about everything, and then we put them on a pedestal.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a really interesting book. I think like honestly I was like, this is on the required reading list for adults in 2026 if you want to continue to like live in America, because it really dissects like how we like can put a lot of like confidence, I guess, and like a lot of trust in people we don't actually know at all. Mm-hmm. We only know their character. We only know their like what they're showing online.
Character meaning the character they're playing.
Playing? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We don't know
their true character.
We don't know who they are in their heart. We don't know who they are at home.
Yeah.
And this is we might think we do. You might think you do. But I promise you, we actually don't. And this is like a big part of what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And exactly like you said, like when real life is where so much more of this stuff is I don't want to say solved, but is like explored and is maybe remedied, nurtured, and where it changes.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. Protecting your peace isn't avoidance. So like we've said, like you can care so deeply about things and also not have to consume all the things. And so I think there are some like healthy boundaries that people can set or healthy ways to stay informed that are worth kind of exploring and finding what feels good for you. That might be something like checking the news or getting on social media or however that works for you at designated times or on certain days or a few times a month or like whatever feels good for you in terms of frequency. Or by the way, maybe never. Maybe that's what feels good for you.
Right.
Choosing a few trusted sources. So instead of just like randomly scrolling or flipping through channels or whatever that looks like, finding just a couple key players that you're like, okay, this person seems like a trusted source. And also looking back at what you just said too, of like, also recognizing I don't actually know this person. And so still being able to like think critically and use your brain is a helpful thing. Taking breaks from social media. We just did a great episode on that and some tips around that. And then balancing difficult content with things that restore you. So if you still are wanting to engage in seeking out content, trying to like find that balance of like maybe staying informed with some of the like heavier topics that are happening, whether it be in your community or around the world. And also things that feel like more inspiring and uplifting and that are just lighter in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you know, finding like the videos that make you laugh or doing activities that aren't on social media at all that are replenishing, like filling your own cup. You know, I love a social media break because sometimes the pros don't outweigh the cons. And I think that like it's just looking at that, like what season of life are we in and what am I needing right now? And it's okay to take a break. It's okay to unplug. I actually know someone right now who has like they're doing a social media detox and they like genuinely the last couple times I've been with them, they're like just so much like more relaxed. And I'm like, oh yeah, I love that.
I know. I think I'm going to do that for July. I think it's like a good thing. Not even for like the topic that we're talking about, although that I think is a really helpful thing, but like it's just so consuming and so kind of pointless.
No, totally. I feel that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's talk about some ways that we can like care for ourselves or how you can care for yourself in these times. You know, when heavy topics arise, how do you regulate your nervous system? What helps you reconnect to the present moment? You know, I did this last night, actually. My mom wanted to tell me a story that she had heard. And she started to tell me about it. And I was like, oh, no, I can't hear about this. I like literally don't want to know. And it wasn't even about like a world issue. It was about like a story about an old man. And I just knew it was going to make me really sad.
Oh, yeah.
And, I just was like, I don't want to know. I don't want to hear that. You know, there's certain things that like, we just don't if you know it's going to break your heart or it's going to be like so heavy and it's going to cause grief in a way that's like not productive or it's like just consuming like horrible information just to consume horrible information because ultimately like knowing this old man's story, what is that going to do for me? Make me sad.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. I don't know this old man. I can't find him and make sure he's okay.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I'm so sorry. Like, I know you want to tell me.
Yeah.
I can't hear this. And it was so funny because she proceeded to try to tell me. And I was like, no. I literally just said, I'm not interested in this.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, okay. And then she went and told my dad. So good for her. She got to get that out.
Yes.
But yeah, finding little things like setting those boundaries, saying like, I'm so sorry, I have to remove myself. Or if you're in a position where you are not like able to like tell the person or in a group setting, just get up and walk away for a minute. Be like, excuse yourself, go to the bathroom, take space, go get some fresh air, whatever you need to do. Get off your phone, change the radio station, change the news station, the channel. Do people watch regular TV?
I think the older generations. LOL.
My dad doesn't even watch TV anymore. It's so funny. He actually doesn't know how to work our remote.
That's so funny.
Taped off the buttons that he shouldn't push just so he knows how to get to
That is so funny.
Netflix.
Put little guardrails in.
Because he doesn't know how to get to Netflix. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think too, like we've talked about in other episodes as well, like if you're trying to maybe pull back from all of the information consumption, spending more time outside, literally go touch some grass, spend time with the trees and the ocean and just nature.
Yeah.
Move your body, prayer and meditation, reading, creative hobbies, like just all the different things that like you can fill your time with that are actually going to like bring you more fulfillment and peace and joy and connection. Explore more of those things and use that as like a replacement if you find yourself reaching for your phone or wanting to turn the news on or whatever it is. Like, how can you fill your time in a way that's going to be more fulfilling?
Absolutely. Yeah. Find hobbies, find things that create something with your hands, bake, do all of that. Also, if you're someone who does like the disconnect, the checkout of scrolling, lately what I've been doing is I've found a couple shows and really it's just one show. Okay. It's one show. I've been watching Shrinking. It's on Apple TV and it is Harrison Ford is in it. And it's about this practice of therapists. And it is the cutest, best, most like it has sad parts, but I love the show because it's so wholesome and it's funny and it's like it really like captures just human connection in a really beautiful way. And so if you find something that like feels really good to like get lost in that story, I recommend like exploring a show sometimes especially if you're really struggling to get off your phone.
Yeah.
Because your brain obviously is wanting to be taken on a journey or to like hear something. And the best stories are actually, my therapist told me this a couple weeks ago. She was like, the best way to check out and disassociate, like bar none, as far as like the best for you, especially if you're trying to get away from cell phone is watching a story, an actual getting lost in a story, whether that be through TV and film or reading a book. Stories are like really important for that.
Humans love stories.
Yeah,
I mean, a good story.
they're how we're like continuing as a society in a way. Yeah.
We love to make up stories and watch stories and read stories.
Yeah.
No, it's so good. I love that.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to close with a few like reflection questions just for you guys as listeners to kind of get curious about and reflect on, just to kind of summarize a lot of the key things that we talked about. So the first is, what am I consuming every day, or however often you're consuming it? Is it actually helping me to be the kind of person I want to be? Am I informed or just overwhelmed? What can I actually influence? what do I need to release, and what helps protect my peace while still caring about the world. So maybe we'll put those in the show notes below the episode. But I think it's just helpful to do a little bit of reflection around these things, and to get really honest with yourself around like how you're interacting with and engaging with information.
Yeah, absolutely. I amplify everything you just said. And yeah, if you guys, have any curiosities around some of this stuff, definitely read the book, The Magical Age of Overthinking. It's really interesting. There's another book too about this topic, kind of like what we're talking about here. I can't remember what it's called. It might be called like the Comfort Crisis or something. I'm not sure. My sister read it. It was very interesting. Um, I didn't read it, but I got the like synopsis through her.
Yeah.
When you don't read a book, but the book is really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those. So
I love that. Yeah. So many good books and resources out there.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. Be sure to do all of the things like follow, subscribe. If you haven't got your sessions for the Soul merch yet, what are you doing?
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. But also, no, seriously, get some merch.
Yes.
And happy 4th of July.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next week.